Hello, welcome to another Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder, and today I'm joined by Leng from HYOOMAN.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey.
And ahead of the record release of the debut LP Pilot on Friday, June 24th at the Eagles with Bathtub Sig and Despondent, we're going to take a journey through Pilot. I'm intrigued by the title.
I was thinking pilot, like pilot to a television series. Like, oh, this is our, your test show. If you don't know what a pilot is, the show where they test audience reaction, the first show, and if the audience like it, then you produce the whole the season. So this is our debut album, so it's like our pilot, like.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and then it's kind of play on words with the visual of the airplane as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great record. I think that they'll run with this show.
I hope so. Yeah.
So yeah, let's take a dive into the record and initially, at least, kind of somewhat thematically. So I noticed that the idea of everybody and the idea of nobody are prominent throughout. So just to kind of...
That's interesting, yeah.
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 So to ground that a little bit, in Discourse, which is a really solid opening track, it ends with everybody's image is so perfect and unique, everybody nods so they want to disagree. So this abstract statement about everybody.
Yeah.
And for me, I find that intriguing that there is this statement about what everybody is doing, and then in the second line, there's this skepticism, like the same everybody is skeptical about the statement about everybody.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's nice, yeah.
So that's the first of a number of instances.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Discourse being the first track, it does kind of thematically as a kind of interesting introduction to this album. When I think about this album, it's very like observational, I think, and it's also like cynical sometimes, I think, and doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right or whoever, the voice of the songs are right or whatever. It's just this kind of observation. So everybody and nobody. Paying attention to your environment, what you're seeing on social media, what you're seeing, how we're interacting with each other. That's kind of was when I wrote Discourse. It was 2020, it's COVID, like the lockdown just happened for the first time, and my friends were losing their jobs. They were being laid off because they can't, or they couldn't work because they shut down restaurants. So it was like a combination of that kind of energy, and then just social media and everybody being at each other's throats, but there still didn't seem to me to be any kind of discourse or conversation. It was just kind of people being at each other's throats. And then at the same time, though, when I talk to people outside of like a social media context, people are a little bit more they like pay attention to nuance a little bit more, or they maybe give you more attention and like listen to you. So there's more discourse when it happens in person, but on social media it doesn't seem to happen. That's what I meant by that last line is, everyone's image is so perfect and unique. Everybody nods, but they want to disagree. They want to have some kind of discourse, but they got to keep their image perfect. So it was just my frustration with a lot of stuff. It's all those kind of different energies come together is what Discourse was for me.
The song where nobody is central is No Accountability.
Yeah.
There is nobody talking, nobody walking, and nobody owning. It's nobody's fault. Well, you were saying that the records can be very, very cynical at times. Yes, and there is this heartfelt yearning, I feel, as well, for that which we're observing on the surface, the lack of.
Wow, yeah.
There's a heartfelt yearning in some of these lyrics, I think, and in how it sounds, for there to be greater integrity and authenticity.
Yeah.
The accountability.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a good therapy session from you. you're like, I didn't kind of realize until this happens, but no accountability, like a yearning for that. And you know, with these songs, like what I sang with Discourse and No Accountability, you know, you're talking about people who are not holding, you know, they're kind of like want to brush their hands off and be like, oh, you know, that's not our, that's their problem, you know, this problem doesn't involve us, you know, you know, I want to keep my life peaceful or whatever.
I want to keep my life peaceful and my image perfect.
Yeah. But I wanted to switch it. I didn't want this album or these songs to be too like accusatory all the time. So I switched it to like a first person. That's what I was thinking at the time. But later on when I hear the songs, when I hear a Discourse or, you know, some other songs in the album where I thought, you know, I was making observations, I also realized those same things I'm making observations about people I see myself.
It's interesting to hear that about the genesis of No Accountability, and I feel that the ability to just observe a lack of full integrity and not to shift immediately into rejection, blaming.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people that have no accountability.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah, right.
It's promising there, I think. It's kind of tied to, it's connected in some interesting way to the heartfeltness that's very most evident in Kid, the second song on the record.
Sure, yeah. I actually never really thought about the album as much until now. Now that we're talking about it, so yeah, you're getting this live where we actually dissect it. But as we talk about it, I think about observation. I think it's a lot about observations and introspection. I think this album about kind of things in our adulthood. So to tie that back to Kid, I mean, one of the themes I think that we go through is nostalgia. And I mean, that's huge. You know, nostalgia is such a thing that we deal with. I mean, a lot of art and like movies now are being made is like nostalgia, you know, like you know, they're like rebooting movies and all that stuff. So anyway, this song Kid, for me, yeah, it was just kind of for me a way to like try to purge myself in nostalgia. Nostalgia has an interesting thing to me where you can look back fondly on a memory. You know, Kid, when I think about Kid, and when you hear the song, it has this kind of quality to it that sounds like a 80s sitcom jingle thing. It's nice to feel those things because, you know, that's when I was happy when I was a kid, and you know, but it's also like I don't want to dwell there, you know. I want to be here, I want to be present, and I want to look forward to things and do things today for tomorrow. So when I dwell too much in nostalgia, then I feel like I'm not very happy with what's present in front of me. So this song was kind of a way where I was just trying to process nostalgia and kind of trying to purge it.
Everybody has got to come to terms with present tense.
Yeah.
Is one of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then there's this theme of time that then is woven throughout the record as well. And then back to abstraction and the alienation through abstraction again. In Month End, we have the notion that timing is everything, and combined with the notion that profit is everything, time is money. So there are these ideas that we have, abstract ideas about time, spending time well. In Month End, we are kind of alienated from our inner child, perhaps, by this abstract idea that we need to be spending our time sensibly. And that means like making money. So there's those alienating ideas about time, but then everybody has to come to terms with present tense. There is, in contrast with that, this sense that cultivating a rich relationship with time and present there is something hopeful and real, promising about that.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that was the goal. When I initially wrote it and I looked at it, it felt like kind of cynical, because at the end of that I say something like, everyone becomes somebody they'll regret, which I don't think I really like meant it that way. Now we think about it. I don't think if you might feel like you became someone you regret if you kind of dwell too much in nostalgia, but I think there's this hope here where it's like, yeah, I want to be here now. You know, I'm not trying to forget everything. I am, you know, nostalgia is just going to be a thing we're going to live with, but we're going to have those memories, and I'll look back fondly on those. But I got to be here now.
There's grappling, I think, especially in Kid, with how difficult it is to be in the present with all parts of oneself, not pushing parts away, not clinging to this nostalgic sense of this idealized past, but allowing all of the parts to coexist and to kind of be integrated. There's no, paradoxically, like this inner child part, the kid in this heart that's still there, can only be present if we're not taking refuge in this kind of idealized image of the past, because then we've kind of locked that kid in the past.
I like the word grappling.
Grappling.
I like the word, like that word that you said in there, but there was another one, like all parts of you kind of have to interlock and integrate. Integrate. Yeah, you have to kind of integrate. That exactly. I like that a lot. Wow, that was like a breakthrough. That was like a therapy breakthrough thing for me. Integrate.
Integration is key. I have this. We were talking a bit before the interview about most of my energy now is on these e-courses, workshops that I do, and the first e-course is all about integration through creativity, storytelling, and I think that is bringing back the theme of time and music. I feel like there's something about the medium of music and creating within this art form, perhaps specifically like in a band with other band members too, where we get to experience presence and co-creativity in the present moment. And there's something about that experience that can kind of make us less susceptible to the whole timing is everything mantra.
Oh, sure.
And these alienating ideas. And the nostalgia as well. If I have the experience being in the present, creating music, which is something that exists through time, maybe shifts our relationship with time. It's weird, I think. To think existentially about what's happening with music and time.
I think that's true. And it's fun, like with Kid, we did a music video, which is out there on YouTube. And I thought it was funny, like, there's a song about nostalgia and like kind of grappling with that and hopefully integrating that into the present. And then we create this music video, and I was joking, like, 10 years from now, we're going to look back at this and have nostalgia about this. So this is like never-ending nostalgia that, you know, in a loop.
At the end of Kids, the closing segment is kind of reflecting on identity. It's so strange, it's so strange. Your name is what you're called. It's the same old name, but you don't feel the same at all. So again, we have the challenge of integration. I get called Simon now. I get called Simon when I'm 5. There's not that much continuity. Like if you just isolate me in this moment and me when I'm 5. So the song is recognizing the strangeness of this consistency of name and across diversity of experience. And the record is acknowledging this drive that we have as humans to impose a neat narrative over things, where I create and hope that other people will buy into this story of, well, this is who Simon is, and then it's, you know, the perfect, and this is who perfect, unique Simon is. To quote Discourse. And but then there's this challenge. And I think Kid kind of like really raises this challenge where across time it's not just arbitrary, random, like, but without imposing this false order and this false sense of being perfect. Instead, there can be, again, integration or weaving together, have it be a rich, meaningful story.
Yeah.
An awareness and observation of all of these different factors that could pull us away from that. Like our jobs and the ideas that are presented to us, whether we're working at the bank, like in So Proud, which I think is my favorite song.
Yeah? Yeah, they're great, yeah.
And Month End Tea. Let's look at So Proud for a bit.
Sure.
There, I think that the thing that could get in the way of this sense of integrity of self, owning all the different parts of one's life and kind of bringing them together, is this yearning to feel better than others. This sense that prize will be achieved and sustained if I can have evidence in my life that I am in the first chorus, that I've got a leg up on everyone that I pass, and in the second, that I'm therefore better than everyone that I pass.
Yeah.
So there's not just disdain.
No.
The person who's working in the bank with this motivation. And I feel that we're allowed to experience or empathize with the cognitive dissonance a bit. You feel so proud, they hold your dollar bill up to the light. You feel so proud, but you lay in bed and can't sleep at night. They do feel proud. It does seem on some level to be making them feel good about themselves to be in this position. And yet, also, we're not really getting what we're yearning for. Right.
Yeah. At first, I wanted to write a song about like a miserable person. I was like, I want to write a miserable person. I remember I had that line. Initially, actually, it wasn't that first. I just had that line like, now you work at the bank.
Yeah.
Because it's like part of my, I won't say, but like, you know, my day job at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And
I love the delivery of it too.
Yeah. And then I was like, I wanted to do something with that, and I didn't really know how to riff that. But as I started to shape it, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna write this song about like a miserable person. But when you kind of flesh it out, and I was like, okay, like proud, like somebody who feels very proud and projects this kind of personality, like, oh yeah, my life is great and perfect. But you know, when you look at certain quiet parts in their life, they can't sleep at night, and there's like wrinkles or like patterns on their face, or they're just not, they just seem like there's a lot of something not being met. And when I fleshed out that thing and I look at it, it wasn't just, you're right, like just disdain. I think initially that's maybe my input, I thought, but when you kind of flesh it out, then you kind of have a little bit of sympathy for this person too, where basically, you can be proud and you can have money and you can have all these things. You could think you're better than people or whatever it is, but like you can still be a miserable person. There's like, it's not going to be missing in your life, probably,
Yeah, you
something.
empathize with the misery.
Yeah.
Like, and you could be like, yeah, of course, people want to feel good, and then the plot thickens a little bit in the second verse with the introduction of, "I'm so proud, your father says." That's the verse that ends with the patterns on the face not feeling right. So there, as soon as we have like this authority figure coming in and reflecting back the narrative, oh yes, perfect work, son.
Yeah.
Good job working at the bank, making the money, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
As soon as we have this external authority figure kind of reinforcing the story that in the first verse we've turned to make us feel good about ourselves.
I think I created this because, I don't know, I'm just like hypothetically somebody who's been told like their whole life, like, you're great, you're awesome, like, and then they do, and like, let's just say they're like an arrogant person because everyone's, around them tells them they're the best, like their father, right. And they have money and they have a leg up on people, whatever that means, and then they're, think they're better. Like, I get maybe those people don't have any doubts in their head and they don't, maybe they sleep well at night and they don't have any weird patterns on their face. You know, they're happy, they're beautiful, they're doing all a bunch of stuff. I created this because I'd like to think that there's somebody, like not saying that I need them to be miserable, but what I'm trying to say is I just don't, I don't know, maybe I was just trying to think that, you know, those things are not everything, you know.
Well, you know that wouldn't bring you joy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just like having the money and being able to look down at people, or feeling that one is able to look down at people,
yeah,
wouldn't bring you joy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it seems difficult to believe that one could successfully pull that off and feel in touch with the kid in the heart.
Yeah.
I think that that's not a maneuver that could be pulled off.
No, yeah, yeah. There would be like a contradiction there for sure. Yeah.
So there's a related moment in a bad way. And here, a character which is perhaps more like closer to you finds themselves reflecting that the ground you, someone else, walks on is made up of all the people you talk down to. So again, it's like my initial reading is, even though I can see that you look down at various people, perhaps including me, there's still this part of me that it wants your approval.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in a bad way.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it seems like more one-dimensional, or but it's like everything's kind of tied into that line, like I want to be in a bad way. I'm not quite sure what that feeling is, but I don't know, sometimes I have that feeling, maybe some people do too, where it's just like, okay, like I want to, you know, be in a bad way. Like you know, some people, they can't handle stress or whatever, and want to have a drink, you know, right. In a way you kind of want to put yourself in this kind of weird situation. And then I wanted to shift it away from just being about like substance use and stuff like that, abuse. And other ways that we do that, which is not just by abusing substances, like sometimes we have people in our lives who are like toxic, or they talk down on you, or they're like arrogant people, but you, for whatever reason, you still want their approval, like you said, and you still want to, like, why do we do that? Like, oh, you want to be in a bad way? Like, is that what you want? I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of the song where it's like, why do we have this kind of behavior? You know?
Yeah. Totally.
Why do we want to put? Why do we want to be in a bad way, or why do we put ourselves in these weird situations that we know are not good for us? You know?
Yeah. What's being observed here is this kind of compulsion.
Compulsion. I like that.
Yeah. It makes me think of the idea that when we know better, we do better. But in this instance, it's like it's recognizing there are moments where that isn't the case for whatever reason, and there's this compulsion, there's this desire. There's parts of us that don't want to be better, that don't want to live up to the highest possible ideal, and it's interesting that the song seems kind of committed to just recognizing and documenting that.
yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely, yeah. You may not recognize why, you know, but you're doing that, or you have a compulsion to do that sometimes in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, again, not just substance abuse, but there's like different things, you know, keeping toxic people in your life, or whatever it is, seeking approval where you don't even need approval from people, but you want it, you know. It's kind of odd. Yeah,
and it's prevalent, and the fact that you're able to take this example, say with substance abuse, and this example with people pleasing, and kind of put them together and be like, this is odd that this happens at all, and also it's pervasive. Yeah. So what's going on here?
Yeah.
It's an interesting kind of invitation.
Yeah.
And I find it's something else that I find interesting is the juxtaposition of that song in a bad way right next to following Don't Wanna Be. So in Don't Wanna Be, the chorus is don't wanna be anyone else that I know. So here, there's that's a statement about what we don't want, and then in a bad way is a statement about what we do want.
Yeah.
I want to be in a bad way.
Yeah.
So they're both about desire and what we want, and they both have to do with comparison, like social comparison. But in Don't Wanna Be, there's this, the flip side of being able to observe all of this dysfunctional stuff in oneself and in others. Like the good flip side to observing it, the good side as opposed to like just falling into a pit of cynicism. Is becoming less attracted to basically the dopamine hits that one would get from getting the approval from the person who you know not to care too much about their approval, and somehow you still do. Still does. Don't Want to Be Anyone Else That I Know is an interesting kind of self-love type song in a way, where it's like, well, at least I'm not doing this and this and this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
And we're not necessarily like resorting to projection. Like, at least I'm not this terrible person who like epitomizes everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
We're not falling into that, but we are like, okay, I'm not envious of this person or this person. Or this person. Is that what the song is?
That's interesting. Yeah, that was like the first song I wrote on the for the album, and
that's with Victor.
Yeah.
Who now is in the band.
Yeah, he's in the band. Yep.
Yeah, we began by focusing on the title of the record and the fact that there will be the record release on Friday the 24th of June.
Yep.
With Despondent.
Yep.
And Bathtub Sick and the Eagles.
Yep.
So we've just provided a reminder about that. And alongside, let's close by focusing on the name, not of the record, but of the band. HYOOMAN, spelled HYOOMAN. Yeah, the fact that the band has that name seems newly significant to me, or it seems richer and more apt than it did than before we started the conversation.
Sure, yeah.
How do you feel?
No, I think I'm glad you think that, yeah. When I initially came up with the word, the band name HYOOMAN, it was just my feeling, because it was a kind of an emotional decision. It was just, I hadn't been doing music for a while and playing in town, and I just thought that like some of the things I had been working on felt like really sterile to me, or like it just felt like we were just really focused on doing things very right in these kind of different projects I was working on, and I just kind of lost touch with, for a moment, like my love for music. And I was like, okay, return back to what you love. Like, I want to feel like human again is kind of what the word came from. So what did I love listening to when I was growing up? It was like these, what I heard on the radio, these alternative and indie rock bands that kind of came up in the 90s and during 2000s. So I just started listening to those records again and stuff, and kind of falling in love with music again and being a fan of music again.
Yeah. And
feeling human. And then also when we were in the studio, we wanted to, this record, like I said before, we didn't want to be too precise. Leave room for surprises, let people do things, let people make mistakes, and it's about being human. That was like the joke, like, human, we're being human. So that was the overall theme. And then now that you're talking about these songs, and now that we've kind of actually like looked at it, I didn't even think about that, but it's all things human. Yeah.